Good morning, this is Phil from Safe Harbour, and you catch me in the kitchen. I'm just making a coffee for myself using my wonderful AeroPress. Now, if you've never used an AeroPress, I highly recommend you get hold of one. It just produces the most beautiful coffee. Anyway, I've cut down from around about 3 or 4 a day to 1, so this is my 1, so that's probably why I'm enjoying it as much as I am. And the preparation of it is quite ceremonial, you know. I'm just looking out the window now as well. I'm standing here in my kitchen looking out onto my garden, and there's a low-lying fog, and that's quite unusual. I haven't seen that since, I don't know, for a long, long time. It reminds me of when I was a kid, heading out to go to school and walking across some fields that were just leading up to the school. There would always be low-lying fog there on winter days. And we are, of course, in the season of winter now. We're sort of coming out of autumn, but it certainly feels like it, and we're heading into winter. And actually, that is the theme of our conversation today. Jamie and I recorded this podcast a couple of weeks back when we were just starting with the second lockdown here in the UK. And we discussed how we were feeling about that prospect of being brought inside again, coming in as opposed to going out. How we were going to cope with that, how we were looking forward to it and not looking forward to it in many ways. So enjoy the conversation. We did. And thank you so much for your continued support. I want to encourage you to write a little review on Apple Podcasts if you feel called to do so. That'll go a long way. And encourage us to keep going. Okay, you take care and you enjoy the conversation. And I'll enjoy my coffee. Good to be back again with you, Jamie, and chatting about something really pertinent and really important. Lockdown 2, The Revenge.
Yeah, the sequel.
Yeah. Who knew it was coming? Well, we kind of all knew it was coming, really, didn't we?
Yeah, at some point it felt like it was on the cards, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I suppose what I'm curious about, I suppose we always come from our curiosity as coaches and curious individuals. When the news broke about it, how did it land with you? What came up for you?
Well, the first thing was winter. It's winter time, and being at home with the dark nights and what winter presents to me in normal times, without the idea of lockdown and not being able to go out to the pub to see friends, or out for a meal, as a little treat, go out for a meal or something. So yeah, that brought up some like a cringy kind of, oh no, not the winter. How are we going to do this in the winter?
Yeah, winter is coming. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I know you and I have spoken about this before, but we both have a melancholic streak in us, where there's a big component of melancholy in us, and it feels kind of linked seasonally. So if there's no sun, if the clouds are, or if it's one of those non-weather days where it's just white and just devoid of any form of weather, there's no rain, there's no sun, it can really impact me naturally, just at this time of year. And I know we've spoken about that before, and the need for sad lamps and getting natural daylight, particularly as we naturally work indoors anyway as coaches predominantly, don't we? So this, coupled with the fact that actually we are officially supposed to be staying indoors, it has quite a compounding factor to it, I think.
Yeah, I've got a sad light in front of me. First time I've used one, actually. I don't know if it works. I don't know, but I'm using it anyway. It's pretty bright. It's like blindingly light. I think it's like one of the most powerful ones. Ironically, I bought it in the summer on Facebook Marketplace.
Best time to get it.
Yeah, it's only 10
no
quid.
One wants it. Yeah.
I think they're about 100 quid normally.
It's got to be bright, isn't it? It's got to keep up with the sun, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I typically have struggled in the winter time. Yeah. I get down and find it really hard to get up in the morning, and just feel a bit lethargic. And I'm not one for staying in bed all day. I'm always up early, so I'm up at like 5:30, 6.
Yeah.
6 typically, and so then it doesn't get dark till about. It doesn't get light till about 8, does it? In the depths of winter, so it just feels like a mole living underground, scratching around, looking for some daylight every now and again. And I just feel really down, and that's quite hard, actually.
It's amazing the impact it can have on us, isn't it? I always used to think like, okay, it's the weather, but surely I can cheer myself up with some comedy or eating well or going out and socialising a bit more, when things were okay, things were regular. But I really did notice when there's a long duration of time exposed to that kind of grey weather, it can really have an impact on me. I really feel like it's pushing me down. I remember I went to Norway a number of years ago, and I was staying on an island in the fjords. And they had the sort of perpetual daylight, the sort of twilight that was there all the time. And we were sort of devoid of sleep, but it was a really strange feeling of having this just grey continuously, literally continuously. There's no night. Wow. And so we couldn't make a transition. Our bodies were staying awake, and it was like, nope, still daylight, no time for sleep, not yet. Until we would like literally almost kind of a little bit psychotic. And I was like, right, I need to try and sleep, at least cover my eyes. But it's amazing how daylight impacts us and influences us.
So the people that live out there, they were born there, and so does their rhythm follow it more in
yeah, it's a good
in
question.
Tune with it?
Yeah, it's a good question. The guy Olav who invited us over, he was very used to it. He was very acclimatized to it, I think. Yeah, and also they wear eye masks, which helps. Because
I saw an article recently that said. It was in correlation between suicide, male suicide, and how male suicide has been, especially during lockdown, has almost doubled. Actually, it's quite terrifying.
That's insane. You told me that the other day, didn't you? And I didn't want to believe it, and I couldn't let it in. It was just too great a figure to imagine.
2 men a day. Is it that 2 men? I can't even remember. It's like my brain blocks it out.
I would say at least. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 12 men a day, I think.
What? Yeah.
12 men a day before lockdown take their own life in the UK alone.
In the UK alone?
Yeah, in the UK, yeah.
That's why we're doing this work, isn't it? Well, that's certainly what inspired us to go live with this podcast rather than waiting around and just, if not now, when kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a terrifying thought, and it's in our communities. It's certainly in my community. I know of someone who took their own life just last week, in fact. And when it's that close to home, it's actually very sobering. It sent a ripple through the community and also through people who knew that person. It's yeah, it's very sobering. And so this correlation between what I was really surprised with was that in Norway, is it Norway we were talking about?
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Yeah. Because of the daylight thing, they have no spike or any correlation in suicide out there. In fact, they have a very low suicide rate over there. That just really kind of threw me a little bit, and it kind of kicked me into a different loop going into this winter before this even lockdown had been mentioned, because I really made a pact with myself approaching this autumn that I was going to have a different mindset going into this winter.
Yeah, because
I think I've told myself, I think I have a narrative, and I think it's the victim saboteur that victim inner critic that sort of wants to self-soothe and go, oh no, poor Jamie, you don't like it in the winter, do you? And I kind of get all moody, and I might have I might drink more alcohol, for example, because that's like a self-soothing habit in the winter, that I might have a few more beers than I should, that kind of numbing out in the winter.
Yeah.
So I was determined coming into this autumn that I wouldn't do that, I've been practicing new mental, new mindset approach, that I'm actually going to enjoy winter. I'm going to go in and I'm going to find my inner landscape and approach that with curiosity and excitement rather than despair and dread. And it sounds really simple, I know, to someone who hates winter and dreads it, to say, why don't you just shift your mindset, mate? It's not that simple, is it? But
be
but
positive. Go on, be positive.
Yeah, why don't you just be positive?
Come on. No, I think it's a very brave move. I think that's a very empowered, brave move. And I'm wondering what got behind you making that decision. What was it that you made more important than the usual kind of entering into winter?
The people around me, actually. My kids, my teenage kids, my wife, our family unit, because I'm just a miserable so-and-so in the winter, can be, at times, when I'm really in the depths of this thing. Yeah. And if I want to really break free of these patterns that pull me under, as soon as that time starts to tick, if I'm to break that pattern, like I help my clients break their patterns, then I have to commit to something. I have to say, right, that's not happening this year. I'm not doing that. And I know why I do it.
It feels like you're building the muscle.
Yeah, it's not an instant click your fingers fix, but it's a consciousness shift for me. It's like, okay, if I don't want to do this anymore, stop doing the same thing and expecting something different to happen. Like I do with my clients, like it's almost like coaching myself into that new mindset. Okay, so I'm going to enjoy winter this time. And instantly there's a resistance because my whole body goes, no, you're not. It's going to be dark and cold. Yeah, up until right now.
Yeah, up until now. So, I think that's a nice phrase too, actually. I said that this morning with a client as well. She was saying, I always do this, I always do that. And actually, this phrase I heard a while back from another coach was up until now, I think it's so easy to imagine that we're indelibly marked with like a tattoo that pre-denotes the way that we behave. But actually, it's like these are choice points. Some of them are incredibly close and bound around our being, and they're very hard to pull away from and imagine that they are not ours and just stories. And some of them are kind of, it's easy to spot. But up until now, it's kind of a good one. It's like, yeah, I always do this. Well, up until now, you did.
Yeah, it's like a pivot point, isn't it? The turning on the circle of moment. Yeah, I don't do that anymore.
When you told me about you were going to kind of reframe that mindset as you approached into winter, had me think about, I wonder what I make of winter. And I love the initial stages. I did a blog post the other day about the initial stages of autumn. I love that transition and noticing the transition from one season, the tail end of, into the next one.
Yeah.
And there's something about that which I really enjoy witnessing, because it's not necessarily just about time passing, but it's about noticing the differences and appreciating what has been. And so I noticed that autumn I really love, like now, like I just look out my window here and the sun is popping out and it's nice and golden. The light is really soft and gentle and beautiful. And then when it comes to winter after autumn, it can feel, for me, it feels a little bit ominous. It feels a little bit kind of oppressive somewhat. But it also, for me, actually, do you know what? When I think about lockdown 2, this which we're in now, it almost feels like it goes hand in hand with it. Like this is the right time of year for the lockdown, because that's what you do in winter anyway. You lock down, you hunker down. So for me, it feels like it's very much in keeping seasonally. It was in summer that I was a bit like, my God, why are we indoors in this beautiful weather?
Yeah, we were being told to stay in, and the weather was saying, come out.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Yeah, the season was going, it's spring, come on out. No, you can't. You've got to stay in.
Yeah, and I think it was, judging by where I am, as I said, I'm in southeast London, and I popped out yesterday to get some food from the local supermarket, and it was thinner. The traffic on the road was much thinner, but it didn't feel like we were in inverted commas lockdown, not like last time.
Yeah.
Which is intriguing and also inspiring too. Do I mean inspiring? I don't know. I felt less trapped, less like my choice had been severed away from me and more kind of, great, at least now where there's fewer bodies out there, we can be more mindful of each other and give each other more space.
Yeah, there's more awareness this time around as well, isn't there? In part 2.
You feel that?
You know, part 1, part 1 I was terrified.
Yeah.
And I don't get scared by it, but the media made it, and that's why I just turned the TV off in the end, because I just got terrified by it.
Yeah.
Because it was an unexpected. We didn't know how, it was killing people. Like my age. I'm 45, and I was like, shit, someone just died 45. That's my age.
Yeah.
Okay, better take this seriously.
I know.
And I still am taking it seriously.
Yeah.
But I think that there's much more awareness around it now. I know how to take care of myself, and I know where my edge is. I didn't know where my edge was before. I didn't know where my boundaries were. I just pulled in, like, shrunk.
Yeah.
Now I've stretched my wings out, and I know where my edges are with it. So, I think that's what I mean by the awareness.
So we have 4 weeks of this, and I think, has this been week 1? No, it's Thursday it started, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's been 1 day. I'm fast forwarding by a week just to skip it out of the way. But over here in the UK, we've got 4 weeks of official lockdown starting Thursday, which was yesterday. Yes, and so we have 4 weeks of this kind of officially. Who knows what will happen at the end of it. But I'm wondering what you are doing. You were saying you shifted your mindset to enter into the onset of winter and the transitioning into those winter months. When it comes to these upcoming 4 weeks, how is that impacting your life, or how will that impact your life, and how are you being kind of proactive about being with it?
Cool, yeah, good question. I think being in service actually is what I feel. If I was to reframe your question, like, what do I feel I need to do during this lockdown time? I think that's being service. I think that's being service with my clients. As I'm doing this free coaching for men every Friday of lockdown, throughout lockdown. So men can just show up, and I'll do 30 minutes of coaching with them totally free. That feels like I'm in service. That feels like I'm connecting with my community and my tribe, and that makes me feel good, actually. That boosts my feel-good juices. Also in the Safe Harbour for Men talking circles, again, in service, where men show up and share what's going on for them right now and reflect back. That's in service, and I feel nourished by that when I'm in service and I'm taking part, because I also get to share what's going on for me as a man right now in lockdown. So those two things alone help sustain me to be a better dad and a better husband, and make sure I'm taking care of my own self-care, like really monitoring my self-care. That's how I'm going to get through this.
And I think that's really important by way of people in positions such as ourselves, where we are service providers. We aren't producing products and selling those products. We're giving of ourselves and giving of our time and attention. And at the best of times, it's very important to be mindful and look after our well-being and how much energy we give away and how much we resource ourselves with, how much we allow ourselves to replenish. And I think right now, with you giving that away, is really generous, I think, energetically speaking, because I would imagine, the impact on you is great as well. So giving away even more energy to guys who I would also imagine are struggling more than usual, I think is a real gift. It's a real service.
It is, and it also nourishes me too. It's not completely selfless. It does really feel like, and I came off a Safe Harbour call last night, and it was an hour and a half, and there were 6 of us on the call, and I was moved to tears at the end when we shared, what are we taking away from this evening? And one guy said something about, like, I'm so glad that you are creating space for me to come and share, because I'm really feeling like I'm not in a good place right now.
Yeah.
And as soon as he started to say that, I started to well up, And I was the last person to speak, to share, so he was like second to last, and I spoke through tears. And like, I'm moved to tears by what you say, that this safe place is somewhere where you can come and share. So yeah, and that nourishes me, that fills me up. That's my reward, if you like. That kind of warms my heart.
Yeah, I was just, as you were saying that, I was thinking. So I'm doing my regular coaching, and I alternate my weeks. And so one week is a content creation week, such as doing podcasts with you here, and blog posts and emails and things, and filming. And another week is pure coaching. And I'm currently in a coaching week, and this is the last day of it. And I've worked with quite a few clients this week, and I'm just noticing the themes which are coming up with the agendas of clients that they're bringing, and it's all about not just who am I in all of this, but who am I going to be after this. There's a real yearning for my clients and the people who are working with me to explore who am I beyond the story of COVID, who am I beyond the story of this lockdown. And I notice that as a tendency at the moment with clients, and that includes myself as well when I journal or self-inquire. A lot of my coaching is inquiry. You know, I have people inquire and go, okay, underneath that, before that, around that, who are you? What's behind this story? And there's a lot about identity moving through this.
Yeah.
That was just coming up for me, yeah. Just a commonality, a common thread in what's showing up on my doorstep by way of clients, and also in my own thinking as well. It's almost like we get the time and space now to be able to decide, or to be the author of where we want to go next. What's the next chapter for us in our own lives? And it's a lot of this time and space is enforced, of course, and that is, of course, assuming that you have that space and you don't have an incredibly busy family life that absorbs all of that spaciousness. You know, but if you give yourself some time to reflect, and maybe this is moving me into the piece that we said we were going to do, where we're going to sort of give away some ideas on what people can do to kind of make good of this lockdown. In that, I find that journaling is a really important thing, or writing, and coupling that with painting as well.
Right.
Just giving myself a way of expressing the unexplainable, because there are no clear answers. I don't know how to solve this problem, both globally and also in my own awareness. I don't know when this is finishing, so there's no end point to it. There's no goal to achieve. But what I notice is there's a lot of residual unspoken stuff that wants to take form, and I find that the best way of doing that is to grab the paints and the paper and brushes and just to express colours and shapes on paper. Yeah.
And how often do you do that, Phil?
Not often enough.
Yeah.
I just talking about it now, and I'm just looking over at a painting that I have on a wall, that a lot of my paintings have a theme. They come out and they look very much like vortices, or like spiraling water, you know, and almost like tunnels or something. And there's a real theme, and it's interesting. If I had to think to myself, what would I paint if I preemptively sit down with the paints and paper and go, what would I paint? And I wouldn't imagine that. But every single time I put brush to paper with paints, the only thing that differs really is the colour scheme, you know, the colours that I choose. So it's really interesting. I find it really interesting. Yeah.
So the form is similar a lot at the time.
Yeah. It's almost like, if I had to be esoteric about it, it's almost, well, it's wanting me to understand it. It's wanting me to find the power in the shapes that I'm creating, I think. It's communicating my subconscious with me and airing it and showing me and going, look, there's this. And then oftentimes once I've painted a picture or drawn an image, and it's been something, it's been a series of colours, it has a feeling about it. And that feeling that arises from me looking at it, I then reflect upon. And I almost write either a poem or I write a series of words separated by commas on how I'm feeling when I'm exposed to it, when I look at it. And that, I find, speaks to a different part of me which has been suppressed or hasn't had voice before doing this exercise.
Wow. Cool. Because as I'm hearing you say that, I'm thinking if I was listening to this podcast, which I am, because we're in it.
Mm-hmm. It's very meta.
I'm thinking I'm going to like me pulling out my kids' paints and doing a painting, and I would go to, right, what am I going to paint? So what would the piece of advice you would give to me as I get all my bits and bobs out on the table?
Oh, I love that.
A blank piece of paper. What would be your advice to me to go?
So many people don't even attempt it because they're in a critic can get hold of it and say, well, I'm not artistic. I can't paint. I can't draw. And I've had some art therapy training, and the essence of it is the understanding that this isn't about creating something that's going to impress someone else. It's about creating the conduit and the possibility to be able to express something subconscious that wants to be revealed. And so I might say to you, okay, so start by making the easiest decisions and choose the colours that really speak to you right now. Because colours are very much attached. If you've got all these paints or really lovely pens laid out in front of you, you can see the range of them and you can feel into what colours are calling you. You know, oftentimes for me, I often find contrasting colours, you know, so I might have red and then I'll find the inverse, like a turquoise or something. Because when you put them together, there's almost a fizzy energy that comes off of it. And for me, that feels like an important thing that wants to be expressed. And so I'll put those two colours together to enable that fizzy feeling to happen. And through doing so, I feel something is expressed through me. Does that make sense?
So just paint.
Full stop.
Yeah. Just paint anything. Just move the brush, right?
Yeah, you could do it through movement too. I love that. Yeah, you can get a big old paintbrush, which is loaded up with a beautiful colour that's appealing to you, say like bright orange, and then get it on the paper and then just start moving your hands, start circling it, start moving it around and see what happens, see what comes out. You'll know when to stop. That's the other beautiful thing.
Just lose all attachment to an outcome? Question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah? So what if it just goes brown and a bit shitty and a bit kind of, this looks rubbish? If my inner critic comes in and goes, what is that?
So notice that's not the intention of doing this exercise. And that is coming from the perspective of what might other people perceive of me or of this image if they were to see it? Okay. How do I judge this in relation to the other paintings and pictures that I see around me that are good?
Yeah.
Notice that. So just notice that inner critic that said, you can't paint, why do you even bother? And say to yourself, this is an exercise in expression. It's like dance or movement or conversation. You don't pre-plan every conversation you have before you have it. It unfolds and manifests and emerges as you partake in it.
Right. So this is a one-sitting painting, right?
Yeah. And it could be, and there's no time on it either. Sometimes I've sat there for like 45 minutes or so and I've gone really gently, and then I've brought out a pencil and I've drawn over the top, and then I go back over with paints again, and I've stopped and I've breathed, and sometimes I smell the paper. I smell the paper and I get my senses involved, and it's like, I feel connected to the rawness of the materials, and that's the important story, and that's the important piece that wants to be heard through me now. Get connected back to the raw materials, as in get my feet back in the earth again, get my hands in the paint.
Yeah. So it's like getting messy as well. Giving ourselves permission, giving myself permission to just make a mess and get curious around what the sounds a bit corny really as I'm hearing myself about to say it, but let the paintbrush tell me what it wants to do.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound corny to me. It sounds like, there's a reason that we have these phrases, and that's because they're mostly true, I think, or there's a large dollop of truth in them. So yeah, that's one thing I've cool. One thing I call upon in my sort of creative medical kit, if you like, when it comes to situations like this and I need a little bit more support. Yeah. Anything for you that you're even curious about, actually, that you might want to dabble with, that you think, this is going to resource me at this time, this is going to, other people could try?
I find Jack Daniel's quite good.
Who is this Jack Daniels? Yes.
Anything else? What do I do? You know what, Phil? I have this saboteur, which I've now recognised as being called a restless saboteur, and I cannot sit still with one thing for very long. And it's something I've always had. So I've done periods where I've done meditation, transcendental meditation, TM. Found it fantastic. Did it for 3 weeks. Haven't done it since. And then I did journaling, the artist's way. Fantastic. Did it for about 3 weeks. Felt fantastic. As soon as I feel fantastic with something and I feel better, I'll just leave it at that. That's good. I'm done. Okay. I feel really good now. But then I'd slowly decline back down to my default, victim place of not feeling so good about myself. And then I try something else out. So there's this pattern that emerges for me, which I'd really like to break and have a regular practice. Like my wife has a regular practice, or several regular practices. And I do envy that, actually. I'd really like, up until now, that's been my pattern. So I'd really like to get into something. My default, actually, in lockdown is to go out into nature. That's my time. I'll go out with no shoes on and dig my feet into the ground and get my gold nail varnish on my toes black with dirt and squidge them around in the soil. And this sounds like a metaphor, but it's actually real. I do actually go out and do that, and it feels nice.
I was going to say, what is the gift for you in doing that?
The gift is it just has me feel connected to the land. If I'm constantly walking around with shoes and socks on and on carpets and wooden floors and things, I need to feel my feet in the ground. And that's quite a new thing for me. That's only been in the last sort of 3 or 4 years. Parts of the summertime I don't wear shoes for like days, weeks. And
just out of curiosity, because I am curious about this, what does that give you? So getting your feet into the earth, into the ground, connecting to nature in that way.
Yeah.
What does it give you that you can't get if you're wearing shoes?
So now I've got my eyes closed. It slows everything down for me. Slows down my breathing, slows down my heart rate. Has me really connect with my inner landscape, my reservoir, the reservoir inside of me. It's like plugging me into a docking station that fills me up with organic juice.
Feels like that's where you get your resource.
Oh, yeah. Even thinking about it has me feel calmer. Although I'm not physically doing it, by thinking it, I feel calmer.
Yeah.
And the discomfort of it, the discomfort of the cold soil on my feet, or mud, like getting mud on my feet triggers a parental telling off that my parents would have said, come on, we get your feet all dirty. You're not allowed to do that. Kind of comes in. So I have to resist that, push that away and reconnect to it like a meditation. Thoughts come in, let them go through, feel my feet in the ground and really sort of connect to it. It takes time.
Amazing. All right, so just to bring it to a close then. Okay, that's it. Boom. I think we're done. Good.